All right, my dear, we're live.
We're live.
We're not live.
Live in front of the studio audience of one.
Griswold.
Hello, Griswold. Can you please stand up and tell us about yourself?
He has been all about you this morning.
He really has. He's been my companion all morning. As soon as I walked in, he was like, "Do you need a hug? I will give you a few." And he did. He's a golden retriever that can give hugs, which is so sweet.
He did stand up on his back legs to give you a hug.
He did. Twice. I've had quite the last 24 hours. Thanks, Eclipse Energy, you motherfucker.
I feel like you and I have had very different eclipse experiences this week.
I knew some of this stuff was going to happen, and it was going to be the type of situation where I'm like, oh, I get to walk through this now? Cool. Cuckoo. I'm fine. Like, and I am staying, for the most part, positive. I've had brief moments of losing my mind, and then I come back to center.
Do you wanna expand on your?
Well, let's just welcome everybody.
Okay.
Welcome everybody.
Welcome
to Two Mystic Mamas. Here we are talking about energy once again. I mean, that is one of the focal points of this podcast. And yeah, the eclipse just happened April 8th.
This was wild.
So depending on where you are listening to this podcast, we are based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is southwest in the state. If you were to look at a map of the state of Pennsylvania, maybe you're listening, somewhere else in the world. And so we're located, it'd be considered on the East Coast of the United States. And we were, where Pittsburgh is, it was at 97% of the eclipse path, the total eclipse path that just took place. But Krystyn and her family drove a little bit north so they could be in 100% of the eclipse path, which was, the images from that neck of the woods were incredible.
It was so cool. So cool. The family farm happened to be right in the path of totality. So we got up early on Sunday morning, and because we knew traffic was going to be crazy.
Yeah, because there's only, it's a basic highway. Like, you're not talking a 4-lane highway. You're talking 2 lanes up, 2 lanes out.
Right. And, and then the roadways up there cannot support tons and tons of traffic. So my father-in-law's, part of the volunteer fire department up there, and they had all sorts of meetings about how to plan for it and the numbers they were expecting. And even in Niagara, I think they were expecting like 1 million.
Mm-hmm. I know Erie got insanely busy. Right. Insane. Like, I had a couple friends that did not take that into account and just shot up there like Monday late afternoon or late morning, early afternoon, and they were stuck in traffic for over 2 hours.
Yeah, so it happened to a lot of people. And then everybody was trying to come back.
This right after.
It took almost 4 hours for some people to take an hour. I think the trip from here to the farm is like just under an hour and a half.
Yeah.
4 hours.
4 hours. Yeah. It's kind of like going to the beach. Like, you either leave super early or you get stuck in hours of traffic, because if there's an accident, or not even an accident, if there's anything, it's just like bumper to bumper.
Right. Well, we had discussed leaving Saturday night. Charlie's students had their championships for the, the indoor winter season Saturday.
Okay.
And we didn't get back to the school until midnight.
Oh,
and they started rehearsal at 9 a.m.
Yeah, that's a long day.
Yeah, it was a real long day.
How did they do?
They did incredible.
Yeah.
Now they're a first year program.
Right.
They took 3rd place, and they were 1 point out of 2nd place.
Wow.
And they actually took 2nd in one of the captions. So
that's amazing.
Everybody was like really blown away by how amazing
that's such a good feeling too, when you put so much like heart and soul and effort into something to see it come to fruition. So
yeah,
so Charles,
proud. Yeah, so proud.
We are so proud of you, bud.
We are. It was really awesome. But we realized as the night was going on, there was no way any of us were going to be in any shape to tow the camper in the middle of the night. Usually we like to do that, get up, leave in the middle of the night, that kind of thing. No,
yeah, after you've slept for a minute.
Right.
Let's just keep going.
I mean, true Krystyn fashion though, right?
I can't. Anymore, driving at night is not my jam. I don't like to do it. Now, I can do what you're saying about like getting up.
Okay.
And bugging out, fine, but then there's something really fun and magical about driving into a sunrise.
Oh, there is.
And I really enjoy that. But I can't go like a full day of living and then be like, all right, let's start a 6-hour journey. That's a recipe for a disaster, like a literal disaster happening.
Well, especially when you're towing a camper.
Yeah, that's, added level of stress.
It's a whole thing. And then not just towing it, but setting it up.
Sure.
And it's a good thing because as it was, they have had a lot of rain up there, just as we have down here. And the camper got stuck.
Yeah, it did.
It took 4 hours to get it out. 4 hours, 2 tractors.
Yeah.
A lot of...
It was an adventure. You guys were on an adventure.
We really were.
Anytime those things happen, you have 2 choices. You can either make the best of it or you can make the worst of it.
Right. And we were doing pretty well. And then...
Yeah, there are balances in between. Sometimes because even we'll talk about mine here in a second, but yeah, you can waffle a little in between, right. Like a pendulum. Nope, we're going back positive. Mm-hmm. And then, nope, still stay,
Yeah. We got the truck unstuck. And then...
Got the truck. I feel like that's a country song. Got the truck unstuck.
All right, Justin, if you're listening, tell Hardy about this.
That's the title of a song. I got the truck unstuck. So the start of your Eclipse adventure was being stuck in the mud.
Literally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Figuratively. Because didn't you say too, like you crossed over, it was almost like you crossed a county line and you were like, ha.
It literally happened. We were driving up 79. Thank you, Griswold, for the pets. Oh man, he's so sweet.
Yeah.
And I just started bawling in the car. Charlie's driving. I'm bawling. Evie's in the backseat like, Mama, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine.
I'm so good.
Everything's fine.
I know. I've had those cries too where it's a physical release.
Yeah.
But everyone associates tears with sadness or sorrow or, something negative. And you're like, no, it's so good.
Well, and Charlie was like, oh, come on, Chrissy. Charlie was like, and Mama's fine. These are just tears of joy,
Yeah.
And I was like, I just had this moment of release that I felt like I had not had in months. I mean, months.
Mm-hmm. It's like
maybe
a good
even a year or more.
Pyro adjustment or Reiki session where you're just like, God.
I do not know what happened, but it all came out and I felt so light.
Time and space.
Right. And I was just happy my family was together
and
we were getting, getting to go out in our camper.
To a historical event.
Right. And not knowing how incredible the experience was going to be even.
Just like leading up to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then an hour later, we were stuck in the mud. I was like, well.
That was good.
I enjoyed that hour very much.
I know. It's one of those mindset things where those things happen and then you're like, life is happening for me. It is not happening to me. It is fucking happening for me.
I have that written in my office. Tony Robbins. That's how I heard it from first. I don't know if he actually coined the phrase, but that's who I had heard it from.
I mean, we can give it to Tony. I feel like he has some clout under his belt.
A little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So continue with, you guys got the camper situated in a unmud area.
Yeah. And we were facing the pastures. And one baby calf had already been born that morning.
Oh, that's right.
And we got to see one be born.
That is such a cool experience.
And we got to name it.
I saw that. Luna. Yeah.
Sweet baby Luna.
Yeah. That.
I think you gave me your eye twitch, by the way.
Sorry. So sorry.
I don't know what's happening. I'm like, oh my God, she gave it to me.
I feel like that's a fake eye twitch.
No, I was winking at you.
Oh, I was like, looks like a damn wink. What is wrong with you? Are you fake eye twitching? No, you're winking.
Listen, when they tell you to wear the glasses, I assume everyone's going to wear the glasses, right? because that's what you do
Please tell me.
to protect your eyes.
Who did not want to watch this?
The neighbors across the street are all staring up at it with their hands over their eyes. Charlie came back. He's, well,
they did not pass second grade science class.
They're all going to be blind.
There was a gentleman who was blind, and he was like, I'm going to go out and look at the sun. Maybe it'll have a reverse effect on me.
No.
Yeah. And I was like, that's, finding the humor in something, that, whatever. And the internet, they always bring in all the things that you don't even think about, know?
Our experience was super cool. I knew that I wanted it to be a spiritual experience for me, but I also knew that I was going to be with people that aren't necessarily on the same spiritual journey that I'm on. But I had brought these 4 that I actually have right here.
Oh.
Which I have citrine and labradorite. I think it's Krystyn. Labradorite, selenite, and howlite.
Yeah.
And this obviously the citrine is associated with the sun. The labradorite is
the moon?
Associated with the moon.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
So I had that. I took my tarot cards up with me, and I had this Eclipse spiritual playlist.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Playing.
Mm-hmm.
And our camper has Bluetooth speakers, so it plays inside and outside. So we could, sit outside. We were set up right out with our camp chairs, and we could see the whole show, right?
Mm-hmm.
As it's getting close to totality, I start hearing random voices. And I'm like, oh my God, what is that? Listen, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's nobody around but us.
They could have been indigenous people from the past. We don't know.
Indigenous people from the past probably don't use the F-bomb as liberally.
I know, but in that moment, I just love that you had that experience, and then I had the same experience at your table 40 minutes ago, where I was like, who the fuck is here? Like, where are these voices coming from? We'll have to share it so people can listen to this song. It is the most bizarre. It's like spiritual music where you're just vibing with it, and then all of a sudden it's like, why won't you fucking look at me? I was like, what is
the motherfucking camera?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
what is happening? I was like, who are these people that are invading this song and ruining it? God. And then I was like, drugs.
They said crack.
Are they smoking crack? And Krystyn holds up the picture of what the song, like the album cover, and she's, I mean, maybe.
And it's just them holding a lighter.
So this song played while totality is happening. And I can just picture Krystyn now being like, what is happening? Are these voices in my head? Like, where are they coming from? So did Charles say anything? Did anybody be like...
No, it was right before totality. He had walked away. His dad wanted to do something. He was trying to keep his dad there and centered to like actually stay and watch.
Okay.
Like the whole process on its own.
Right.
Because as soon as the kids are on the farm, it's, you have things to do. So he had stepped away for a minute, and I was like, oh my God, I really thought I was going crazy.
Crazy, yeah.
Right. And it's 6 or 7 songs deep into the playlist.
Yeah, no, you're like just attuned, jiving. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, who? What?
I'm like, I'm so glad it happened though, because I was playing the same playlist when you came in here today.
Yeah.
Get us in the mood.
Yeah.
And I totally forgot about that song until we're sitting there eating breakfast.
Yeah. And she was on her phone. Like, it was like she was like watching a video of people talking, but not showing or sharing with me. And I was like, what are you watching? What is that? And she was like, no, it's not. I'm not watching. And I was like, who are these people that I hear? And she's, oh my God, it's this song. I was like, what? So then we played it again and like intently listened to these two people interact kind of violently towards each other.
Wild.
While this beautiful melody is playing. Mm-hmm. It is wild. We'll have to link it or something.
Yeah, I'll have to find it. We'll link it. I have the Spotify link. So
yeah. We'll link the playlist and then we'll just let you guys figure out which song it is.
Yeah. So if you want to follow our IG at 2 Mystic Mamas, we'll pop it there for you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So right before it happened, we were kind of talking about what was going to happen with the animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we kind of didn't know. And
oh yeah, the farm animals, not
correct.
like the birds and everything. They say
they naturally were.
Yeah, and the crickets come out and all of that. But
right.
you had a bunch of actual farm animals.
So it's kind of funny because right before it happened, a huge section of the cows all laid in a semicircle. And there was one cow standing up and they were all facing it like they came to fucking church.
Yeah, like Jesus on the Mount.
Happening right now. And they stayed that way for a while. And then as it approached, all of the cows dispersed to corners of the pasture.
Huh.
Which is pretty big, spread out. There's actually like multiple pastures there.
Yeah.
And just laid down.
Yeah.
For the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then the, birds, bats, all the crickets and everything was so loud.
Yeah.
So it was just
and didn't you say too
experience.
That there was like a big gust of wind and the temperature dropped like significantly?
So crazy. I mean, it was just out of nowhere. It's like somebody turned the lights off.
Yeah.
And it got cold.
Yeah.
But you could still, there was like a slight hue on everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like just that last moment of dusk.
Yeah.
Right?
The energy is wild. It's wild.
So, I mean, it was so crazy. And then being able to take your glasses off at totality and just look around. We can put that video up too.
Yeah.
Actually,
well,
Instagram
you could do that if you were in full totality. You could do that.
Right.
We weren't, but so we didn't. The kids didn't take the glasses off. But again, I had a different experience than you did at totality.
We did. I mean, I was out in it, like soaking it up, wanting to be, I'm chanting out there with my crystals, fully embracing it. Man, I'm so glad that we went. It was so cool. There is going to be one in Iceland, and I love Iceland. It holds a very special part of my heart. I will do everything to try and get to that one. I think it's Iceland and Spain. Chris Corsini, I'm coming for you.
He's in Portugal, which I know it's close to Spain.
It's close to Spain.
Lisbon. I really want to go to Lisbon.
So do I. I feel so called to that area.
I know. Well, that's why. I think that's why he's there.
Right.
Setting up
we
shop.
need to go to the wheelhouse. It's open now.
I know. I keep watching all the videos.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, okay, let's talk about what's happened with you for the last couple of days here. Your moments, your aha moments, and your eclipse experience.
Yeah. Well, so let's see. How do I want it? I know I'm trying to set this up for something huge and dramatic to happen, which is not the case. I'm just trying to get my thoughts together in my brain. But, basically last week, the kids were on spring break and we did a staycation spring break. And we had so much fun and we made the most of it. Weather was complete garbage, flooding everywhere, just crazy amounts of April showers. I mean, these Mayflowers better be fucking incredible, is all I'm saying.
It's been wild the last couple of weeks.
It has been wild.
Yeah.
We're used to getting crazy weather in Pittsburgh and getting all 4 seasons in a day. Like legit has happened. I've experienced it multiple times where it'll be like sunny and 70 and then by the afternoon it's snowing and you're like, what is happening?
I mean, if you believe in the rapture and you got all this happening in the eclipse.
Yeah.
You might,
Yeah.
You might be having a time right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I had a third interview that was supposed to take place at 3 p.m. on Monday, the 8th.
Oops. Which is when totality was happening.
Give or take. Yeah. I think it was a little bit later than that, but I would have missed 90% of the eclipse. And so I was like, well, this is a sign, like I'm not moving this interview. This is important. And I also knew I had already made the decision to not be out in the eclipse. Like I wanted to be indoors when totality was taking place. And so the kids and I made it was a beautiful day. It was so nice. And I was like, we're getting out into the yard. This was the last day of spring break. So the older two kids were home and we just spent all afternoon out in the gardens, in the yard. Graham was mowing the grass for the first time. I was teaching him how to do the push mower, like just having a grand old time. And we start we really started to recognize the eclipse way before it actually went to totality, which for me was so cool. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the transition.
Yeah.
I loved having these glasses. Like I don't remember ever having eclipse glasses when I was younger. I remember doing the cardboard box thing and seeing it through that, the shadow box or whatever it was.
Oh, the pinhole.
Yeah, I don't remember having glasses. So having these glasses was wild. You could see the clouds move in front of the sun, and you could see it continuing to move to create the eclipse. And I thought that was awesome. And I could feel the energy shifting. And for me, like it's so interesting too, when you like watch a bunch of different spiritual people on social media have different experiences, you know, because I was watching some woman and she was like, I just feel like there's just magic in the air. Like everything's just magical. And I went to the grocery store and I got a $50 gift card for no reason. And I was just really trying to be intentional with being present and just letting whatever was going to happen. But I knew that for me, I didn't want to be fully submersed in the energy as far as like it hitting my body. I wanted to be somewhat protected physically. So when the eclipse was happening at 97% or whatever it was, Emily and Graham were on the trampoline with their glasses on and they were like, whoa, what? It was, you know, it had gotten dark, and I went into my she shed and I lit a candle and I just set intentions and I just meditated. And so I was still present in the sense that I was a part of what was happening.
Right.
I just had chosen to put myself almost like as if there was a barrier between the eclipse energy and my physical being. And that's just what I was drawn to do, right? So I think a lot of just following that intuitional drive of what makes you feel comfortable is a beautiful thing. And so after it was over, we kind of just went about our day, and it was one of those, it was a cool day. Like I definitely felt it was different energy. I wouldn't necessarily say it was like magical, but there was definitely a charge to it for sure. For sure.
Do you remember, was it Independence Day, the movie? Where the girl, was it the one? I feel like it was Independence Day, where she like runs up on the rooftop with the sign and she's like, take me with you when the aliens are coming.
Yes.
And she's all excited and throwing a party and gets sucked up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Like we had such different experiences, which I think is so great. But the energy was wild.
Well, yeah. And I knew from watching some videos and doing just like listening to some of the spiritual teachers and practitioners that I follow, it's not so much the energy of the actual day, it's the weeks and months to come of change. So Eclipse is all about change and capitalizing on change and like identifying things to let go of and free yourself of and move forward from.
Right.
And if you've done a lot of that work, which I had been doing a shitload of that work at the end of 2023 and definitely into 2024, that it comes to fruition and it is like fully released.
Right. Well, I've had the experience that the last couple of years have been so transformative. And this eclipse season has been one that I can't quite figure out how to put into words yet.
Right.
It has awakened something in me.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of a total solar eclipse is illumination.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt called to be in full totality and to soak up every single bit of that energy and have felt some level of lightness, transformation, balance, really moving into it, but coming out of it. So it's kind of been a wild ride for me.
Yeah. And we'll continue to see how it plays out, which is, you know, that's kind of the fun thing to think about too. Like we're doing this episode centered around just the eclipse in general and like our experiences, but we will continue to center back to this for the next year.
2024 is associated if you're into numerology, with the number 8, right? So you basically add the numbers up, and that's how you come up with 8, right?
You add the numbers up from what?
So 2 plus 0 plus 2, you're 4 plus 4, you're at 8.
So the year, 2024.
2024.
Okay.
So it's an 8 year.
Yep.
And just, 111, 222, 1212, all of these kind of repetitive numbers, each individual number has its own meaning as well. And so a lot of what happens with the number 8 is about balance.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and achievement.
If you flip
success.
it,
right, you flip it on the side.
It's an infinity symbol.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's super powerful year of transformation, of abundance, of our ability to illuminate what we want and how to get it.
Yep.
So I definitely think we'll be
and
cycling back to how all of these experiences have affected us personally as we transform through the rest of this year.
Yep. Yeah. And I was just like kind of, because, I do a lot with angel cards and angel numbers and, just thinking about the number 8 and, just that infinity symbol. I have that infinity symbol tattooed in my upper arm for my daughter, for Emmeline, my first, and, the infinite possibilities.
Right.
Infinite love that you can give people and kindness that you can give and receive. Yeah, on some level, I wanted to be somewhat protected.
Right.
Because I feel like there's definitely, again, we are on different spiritual journeys and have been on for different lengths of time. And I definitely am still somewhat treading water when it comes to some of these things where I will dip my toes, but I'm not going to fully jump into the deep end yet. I'm still like, I need to just do this in my own way and just feeling comfortable with what that feels like. Again, I'm clairsentient, so that's my strongest clair. So I feel comfortable feeling. And when I just allow myself to listen to myself, anytime Mother Nature decides that she's going to make herself known, I'm always in awe and of respect out of that. We got another hellacious amount of rain last night. Well, in the last 24 hours, it started somewhat during the day, and the water table is so high right now, and there's nowhere for the water to go. So naturally, you have flash floods that are popping up all over the place. And so it started happening last night. And thankfully, in the big scheme of things, the flooding was not significant enough that, we need to reach out to insurance. But it was at one point coming down off our hillside in front of my she shed. There was like a stream that we needed to just divert from the house. And in doing that, the energy got a little heightened in the house because, I'm like a pragmatic, like, how do we fix this? What do we do? And my husband gets a little... And was, because I was like, at one point I was like, maybe we should just dig a small trench to help the water get into the yard faster than how it's getting in there now. He's like, that's not going to do anything. And in my mind, I'm like, it might help a little bit, and so we like figured out to get the water, because then he came to his senses too and was like, yeah, that makes sense. If we divert the water away from the home, that will help regardless of, anything else, like even if it's just a small amount. So we did that. And in doing so, I had gone back to the bedroom to get a pair of wellies. And when I came out into the living room, we just heard this hellacious noise of something big falling. And I was like, what was that? And I go back, and our TV that had been mounted in our bedroom in our wall had fallen off and hit the dresser on the way down and was laying on the floor. So the TV, rest in peace, is no more. It's a giant crack in it. And Jeff was like, how did this even happen? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, the mount was completely fine on the wall. And even the bracket on the back of the TV, nothing was bent. Nothing. Like, we still have yet to figure out how it fell. And I already know that
Well,
it was the angels. Like, I know that was a sign that we're not supposed to have the TV in the room. I know that is because I've been putting out that energy of like, how do we get the electronics out of the room? We've talked about it.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? How do you like make that commitment? Because I haven't done it yet with my phone. And the TV, well, bye-bye TV. So
it is definitely a commitment.
It is.
You really have to.
Yes.
Even last night, so Charlie's away for the next 3 nights or whatever. And I don't keep my phone in my room. And we don't have any electronics in here except when we record.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself last night before I went to bed, should I keep a phone in my room? Because I'm home alone.
Right.
And there's like a crazy storm happening.
Right.
And I had to make the commitment that I was like, no, I am not going to put the phone in my room. I'm not going to live in fear that something's going to happen.
Right.
And I'm not going to be able to make it 20 steps to my bed or to my...
Well, you keep your phone on.
I do, but off. Like, it's on silent all the time.
Unless certain people call you?
Yeah, I think it's just Charles and Evie.
Yeah. It is a commitment.
And the school.
I think that... but I don't, it's one of those commitments that once you do it, it's not like you're going to not have positive effects from it. It's like,
it's so great.
It's all positive. It's all positive. And so the TV fell and I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And I opened up one of the beers that our friend had lovingly found for us. Our friend hilariously found this beer by a brewery called Jackie O's called Mystic Mama.
Mystic Mama.
And they had it on draft. He was in West Virginia at a conference. And so naturally he said he ordered 2 when he saw it. So he had 2 Mystic Mamas, which I thought was so sweet.
Aww,
yeah.
Thanks, friend.
Yeah, thanks, friend. And so anyways, I opened one and I was like, and for me, having a brew when you're just dealing with a stressful situation, it cuts that edge. And, I'm not necessarily condoning, taking a whole bottle to the face, but I had the brew, I poured it in a glass and I was like, okay, like life is happening for me. It's not happening to me. And we watched a hilarious movie as a family and we just kind of let Mother Nature do her thing outside. The water did start to subside. So that was good. And then, we all went to bed and had a good night's sleep. And
I mean, you guys persevered.
We did.
You persevered. Yeah. Even through a difference of opinions in, how to handle the water situation.
Well, I'll show you a video of when he came to his senses and he was like, I'm going to go out here and fix this. I was laughing in his face. I was howling. He came out of the bedroom and I was like, what are you wearing? And he was like, just gave me the bird and walked out the door. And I was like, I'm just going to videotape you because this is hilarious to me that you because this is so typical. He'll give me a bunch of shit. And then I know in his brain, do you want me to eat the microphone, Grizzy? Like in his brain, he's thinking, she's probably got a point, but I'm not going to give her the satisfaction of telling her that. I'm just going to go do it myself. So he went in the bedroom, quickly threw on what I will show you later. Basically, boots with socks and shorts. And
at least he had pants on. He wasn't just straight.
No, he did not have. He didn't have pants. He had shorts.
I meant at least his balls were hanging out.
It was so unnerving because I'm like, oh my God, this is my home water, foundation. And I was like, you got to let it go. There's nothing that you can do in this moment to control what is not controllable. And Mother Nature is not control. Like you cannot control Mother Nature.
A lot of the cards that I've been pulling and the messages that I have been receiving have to do with literally foundation and stability.
Mm.
And a lot of the things that are happening in your life right now are really good reminders to take a step back and look at how we are doing things from a foundational perspective, right? When you saw the TV come crashing off the wall and you're like, this is a sign, I know that we don't need to have this TV in our room. That's a foundational piece of how you are starting your day. All of this energy that's happening right now is a really great time for us to evaluate how we can fix the cracks in our own foundations.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I have this thing with trees falling. It's happened in the last 2 weeks. It's happened twice now because I had that giant tree fall on the road while I was outside, and I had to call 911, do all the things. Nobody was hurt, but it was like a whole process. And then this morning we had our neighbor had this like super overly dead tree or lack of tree, but it was like 15, 20 feet high. And that came crashing down into. So we're going to have to deal with all of that. But I just think, again, like you get thrown these life events where there's plenty of times where, I did have a freak out moment when I saw the tree on the fence and, lost my marbles for about, 10 seconds. And then I was like, okay, regroup. Let's go. What do we need to do? Who do you need to get involved with?
Right.
Like,
everybody's safe.
Everybody's fine. Right. You just assess those things. And then it's letting go of what you can't control. I can't fix this tree. I can't fix the fence. What can I control? How can I contribute? Get uncomfortable being uncomfortable, that type of thing. And so it's a good lesson. And like when we get distracted or we get unaligned to our purpose, you can do things to recenter yourself and ground yourself back and say, please help me with letting go of the things that I can't control. And please help me with the things that I can control and give me signs as to what my next step are for XYZ. And
a really important piece of this is that when you have taken the time to meditate on your values and your purpose, when something happens like this, you're so much quicker to be able to go back to center, to grounded, rather than if you're kind of all over the place and you don't really know what's important to you in your life in that moment, you're just going to spiral, right? And I do think that there's value in continually, weekly, daily, monthly, reaffirming what your own
for sure
values are, what your pillars are, pillars, what your pillars of belief are, and what your purpose is. And when you know that, okay, my purpose is my family and, my community and service, which I know are a lot of the big points for you, it's a lot easier for you to move out of that space of being triggered in a, situation, whatever it is, and moving back into, okay, how do we realign?
Yep.
Right? We just readjust the sails. That's all.
Yep.
And we move forward from here.
Yep. And try to control our eye twitches.
And not give them to our friends. Yeah, I would say if you are feeling moved to work with this eclipse energy right now, I know Rach mentioned angel cards earlier, and she sees a lot of infinity symbols with that. But also in tarot, the Magician, the Strength, I believe, the two major arcana cards that come to mind that have infinity symbols on them, that would be good to work with during this time, especially the Magician, because you have everything that you need to create whatever it is you're trying to manifest in your life. And also the Sun card would be another good one to work with during this energy right now, if you're into tarot magic.
Thanks for joining us again. And hopefully you'll join in for the next one, because we love you guys and we hope that you find value in what we talk about.
We love you. Follow us on Instagram. Catch up on some of our past episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And reach out to us. If you have something that you want us to talk about, twomysticmamas@gmail.com.
Yep.
Shoot us an email. We would love to hear from you.
Yes.
We love you guys.
Yep, we do. Thanks for being here.
Toodaloo.
Until next time.